Hello children, it's Mr. Yeardsley again. I hope you're enjoying the sunshine, at least in your gardens. Saw on Twitter a few people outside doing some learning, which was lovely. Children in school today are chalking rainbows on the playground and they're thinking of you. Today, I'd like to start reading a story to Year 2. I say I'm going to start reading because it's a chapter book. And I know some Year 2 children are reading chapter books. I know some Year 2 children are reading some quite complicated chapter books. I saw Betsy reading a book by David Walliams, I think, just the other day before she left school. This chapter book is called The Nothing to See Here Hotel. And it's about this little boy here. His name's Frankie, and we'll find out about him in just a little while. It's another book that belongs to my Maisie. She met the author, a man called Steve Butler, at the Cheltenham Literary Festival just back in October. Stephen Butler used to play Horrid Henry on TV and on the theatre, if you like Horrid Henry. I'll make a start. Chapter 1. Not all old ladies are nice. Let's talk about grandmas. In storybooks, grandmas or grannies or nannies are sweet and short dumplings of fun that give you extra pocket money when your mum and dad aren't looking and need to be rescued from the occasional big bad wolf. But this isn't a storybook. This is really real life, and my grandma isn't anything like that. My granny would terrify the big bad wolf. She'd beat him to a pulp. She'd gulp him down, chewing and slobbering as she did so, and belch out his bones before breakfast. Oh, I should probably tell you, my granny is a troll. A mean one. Chapter 2. The Nothing to See Here Hotel. Phew! Now I've told you the truth about my granny, the rest of what I'm about to tell you won't quite sound so bonkers. My name is Frankie, by the way. Frankie Bannister. Hello. I know you're probably already thinking that I've had my brain scrambled or I'm loop-de-loop crazy. A troll for a granny? But we've only just started. Keep reading and I will explain everything. I swear. You'll begin to believe me in no time. My granny really is a hulking, stinky, great troll. And not a single word of what I'm about to tell you is a lie. Go on, just read a few more pages. Ready? Here we go. My Granny, the Troll. About 100 years ago, back in the olden days, when people wore tall hats and everything was in black and white, my great-great-great-great-granddad, Abraham Bannister, went for his usual morning walk along the beach and kapow! He changed the history of our family forever. Right out at the far end of the seafront, near the rocks, my Gramps spotted something strange. Something very strange and very large. According to my dad, Grandad Abraham was a collector of rare plants and animals. He used to travel the world, searching for weird and exotic things. So what he spotted on that black and white morning must have made his curly moustache twistier than ever. Abe spotted a troll girl, a trollette, doing her laundry in the open mouth of a huge sewage pipe and having a good old sing-song to herself. You guessed it, that troll girl was my great-great-great-great-granny. Read Gatera, glump. And before anyone could scream, "No, wait, Abe, she's hideous!" the two of them fell madly in love, ran off and got married in a proper slobber-chopsy troll ceremony down in the sewers under Brighton High Street. Don't panic. The rest of the story isn't all gross and lovey-docious, I promise. Fast forward 100 years, and here I am, Frankie Bannister, the newest member of the bunch. Picture of him here. There's Frankie. You can imagine our family tree is a little crazy one. It's dotted with trolls and humans and harpies, with the occasional witch and puddle nymph thrown into the mix. My uncle Stodger is a bogrant. My dad, bar Jesus, is what's known as a halfling. And my mum, Rani, is completely human. So that makes me a quarterling, I suppose. I know that I'm 1/36th troll. You probably wouldn't notice I wasn't fully human at first glance. My hair is always messy, and it hides my pointy ears most of the time. So the only thing that really gives it away is the colour of my eyes. Just like Dad and all my other relatives going back up the family tree to Granny Rigajita, mine are copper-coloured, like shiny pennies. It's the first sign of having troll blood. Anyway, I really want to tell you all about where I live. 100 years after my great-great-great-grandparents built it, my family still live and work in the Nothing to See Here Hotel. It's the best secret holiday destination for magical creatures in the whole of England. You weren't expecting that, were you? Poor old Grandad Abraham popped his clogs years and years before I was even born, but Granny Rigajita is still about. Trolls live hundreds of years longer than people. My granny calls herself the manager of the hotel, but she hardly ever leaves her bed. So me, Mum and Dad do all the hard work. Every day we run round like human bumper cars, trying to keep a bunch of magical creatures from wrecking the place. Weird is normal to the Bannister family. Are you starting to believe me? Ha, thought you might. I could spend hours and hours telling you about the hotel and describing what it looks like, but you'd probably get super bored and throw the book across the bedroom screaming, "I hate Frankie Bannister!" So here's a map instead. Maps are way more fun, and you'll find out loads more later in the story. I'll show you the map. Your grown-ups have been to Brighton. It looks a little bit like some of the buildings in Brighton. You can see the library. What other rooms can you see? Have a look. There you go. I know what you're thinking. How can the hotel be that much of a secret if it's so massive? Anyone with half a brain would spot something strange going on in seconds as they walk past. But that's where a little bit of troll magic comes in. You see, the front of the hotel looks just like any other you might find by the seaside. And that's the only part that humans can see. So no one suspects a thing. The rest of the hotel is enchanted by Granny Rigajita and is completely invisible. The only time there's ever a clue that a huge magical hotel is standing in plain sight at the end of Brighton seafront is when a seagull flies into one of the invisible towers. It's pretty funny. If someone was looking hard enough, they might spot a seagull come swooping over the town, heading for the sea, and wallop! The poor bird stops in midair, then squawks off in a whirl of feathers, looking more confused than a T-Rex in a tutu. But no one ever notices. All the people that come and go along the seafront are way too busy buying ice creams and splashing about to pay attention to surprised seagulls. That's how the hotel has managed to stay secret ever since Abe and Rigajita opened it all those years ago. We also use a couple of crafty tricks to stop any human tourists from wandering in by mistake. First of all, the visible part of the hotel is always kept shabby and old-looking. The windows never get washed. The outside hasn't had a lick of paint since the place was first built. Then there's the spell on the front steps that fills the noses of any non-magical person who stands on them with their most hated smell in the world. It's brilliant. Let's imagine that the smell of dog poo is the worst thing you can imagine. If you put even one little toe on our front step, your nostrils would instantly be full of the strongest stink of it. Ha! Humans soon think twice before ringing our doorbell. If that wasn't enough, Mum and Dad's final trick is to pretend to be angry guests of the hotel. They call the local papers once a week and they rant about how horrible and dirty the rooms are, or how disgusting the food is, and put rubbish reviews online. Dad is so proud of our 0-star reviews that he frames them. They're hanging above the reception desk. There we go. It says, disgusting. There was a fly in my soup. What's the other one? The worst hotel ever. So, here we go on page 18. You've read this far, so by now you must believe me. You're probably thinking that to be a human kid living in an invisible hotel with magical creatures must be brilliant. And I suppose I can see why. Things can be downright crazy around here, which is fun. But it's not all fairy wishes and sparkly crowns and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love my weird home and being part troll is pretty great. But it's easy to forget all of that when you've been helping Mum clean up after Mr. Vernon, the stink demon. He's been to stay for the weekend. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. The really exciting stuff started on the night of the huge storm. I was climbing the 399 steps to Granny Regurgita's tower bedroom, and things at the hotel were about to get interesting. I wonder what might happen. I wonder what interesting things might happen at the hotel and what monsters might visit. If you went to visit and trod on that step and the worst stink in the world filled your nose, what would that be? I'd love to find out, children, if you answer below on the page. We'll continue with that book later on another day. Children, it's been lovely to chat and tell you a story. Let's not forget that we've got a saying at Linden Green Infant School, and it's, if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. Keep on smiling, everyone.